You're good to go.
Oh, hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Sheets with Bobby, of course, and we're going to do our MLB preview. Then after this, we're going to do golf, and then later on we're going to go live, and then probably do NBA also. And today I'm kind of free, so I might actually do a live sweat also, like later tonight. Just maybe sweat the end of the NBA finals, or maybe not the NBA finals, the end of Game 6 at least, or Game 5, right? Tonight? No,
that's tomorrow.
Oh, it's tomorrow, the NBA. Okay.
Yeah.
So maybe I'll do a live PGA lineup build or whatever. Yeah. Now, as far as yesterday goes, so for those of you that weren't around, Bobby wasn't here for the early preview, and not to toot my own horn or whatever. I thought I did a particularly good job yesterday in the slate breakdown, because I really went through all of my process, and I went to DraftKings, I went to FanDuel, different little tweaks that I make with SaberSim and stuff like that. I went for like a full hour going through it all, and I thought we did a good job, like combining like slate specific stuff with process. I really almost encourage people to just watch that over, like if you want it. So what ended up happening yesterday, if you go, the reason why I wasn't here yesterday evening is I went to the Yankee game, as I told people I was going to. And I didn't know whether I was going to play or not. I was so unconfident because, listen, if you're not going to be around for late swap, you're really not playing well, honestly. So I didn't put my stuff at Stake Kings. I didn't do whatever, but I still kind of wanted to play. And literally, I was in a Zoom call, and I'm like, you know what? It was like 4:00, and I was like in a Zoom call. I'm like, okay, after the Zoom call, I gotta run because I gotta get to the Yankee game. Let me just build stuff anyway, because whatever. So I literally built the stuff with the exact process that I talked about on the afternoon thing, And what happens is that you do this enough times, it just becomes like kind of second nature, that even if you're not going to play 100% your best, you at least have a process together that you can fire that gets you competitive. So I played 3 lineups on FanDuel, like 3 lineups in the entire portfolio. I played 3 lineups in the Monster, and I went to then I went to the Yankee game. I totally even forgot to check to see if I had lineup changes to make. I felt like such a fish. And I got home and I saw that I had a lineup that was doing well with like 27 holes to go. And whenever you got the Dodgers, you're always live. And then I sweated it to the end. I ended up taking down the whole Monster.
Let's go.
And that's like one lineup against, everybody in here had like 5 lineups minimum,
Yeah, I think I had like 4 or 5 lineups.
Yeah, that I was dealing with, and not only that, but I got there with the Dodgers with Ohtani having his worst game of the season, pretty much.
Right.
So the point I wanted to make is that one of the reasons why I do from time to time go through the whole process with everybody is, number one, to teach you guys, but also to be greedy. Like the more times that I go through it myself, the more automated it could be for myself to do. So that even if you don't have like 1,000 hours to like dedicate to sweating every detail, you still have something that could put you in position. So like when I tweeted this, I didn't want to be too sarcastic about how I wanted. I didn't want to attribute it all to luck. But the fact is that this particular one, I literally just had a process that I just kind of fired off, and it just kind of worked out. But we're going to do more of these types of videos. We're going to be putting some of these behind the paywall. I don't know exactly what that's going to look like or what that means really. We'll talk more about that. But unfortunately, doing those types of more in-depth things for free is just not going to happen anymore. That's just the way it is. I mean, we'll still do some stuff for free because that's the way the business is. You do some stuff for free to get people to kind of like come and pay for the site. But if we get like too advanced or whatever, it's just really not fair to the people who are paying. You know what I mean? To offer that stuff for free. So that's, you're going to see less of the more advanced stuff for free and more, requiring you to be a subscriber to view. And that's just the business of things. Especially when there's, pre-football season, the way content works is, people, don't do as much DFS before football season. So content providers have to, do the right things and stay relevant. So we're going to have to, go to that model a little bit. So for those of you that pay already, you're like, good. and for those that are just looking with the free stuff, you're just not going to see as much free advanced stuff. You'll see some free regular stuff, but that's just the way that's going to be.
Yeah, well, incredible job, man. It was awesome. I was really happy. I thought I had a good night. I really had some swipes back to the last 2 nights, actually, to win the 100K the night before and then this last night. So I thought I had a decent night. I cashed in both of the 888s and all that. I played 2 in there. And I had like literally, I didn't have the Cardinals thing. But I mean, I had like the Cam Smith with Pajes, and still I couldn't quite get there.
Yeah.
I had a lot of great stuff. But so when you wrote me this morning, I had no idea because I went to bed. I was just sort of like, oh, okay, I made a little money, a little frustrated that it didn't go a little better. And I'm glad that you took advantage and you crushed it. And oddly enough, I played. Actually, it looks like I played 4 in the big one, and Will Smith was in 3 of my 4. So at 3%, me and you made up all the ownership on Will Smith.
We had a really nice sweat in the Discord actually. Like the guys that are really like sharp, they were like SM McCarty was in there, and then your man the Leon. Like, and he had it all figured out. Once I told him I was live, he was like, oh, you need this, you need that, you need this, you need that. He was even suggesting maybe like, I got really unlucky, sort of. Like in the top of the 9th, the Astros were up like 100-0 or whatever. And they pinch hit for most of the guys I had to anti-sweat. But Parodies came up. And of course, like I needed him to get even only a single. And of course, because it was a 10-run deficit, the A's put a freaking position guy in there to pitch. So I had to sweat that, and Parodies hit a freaking double that required me to score another hit in the bottom of the 8th. And Pajes came right up and just finished. It was like beautiful because the announcers was okay. He's 3 for 3 with 3 RBIs. I'm like, you know what? I only need 3 fantasy points, so it's all nice. And then like just bam, like he took 2 pitches, then single, and that was the end of that. So yeah, okay,
that's awesome.
Yep.
Yeah, no, couldn't be happier, and great way. I mean, look, you're not the one leaving. I am, but it feels at this point, we do these every day together. You start feeling like you're rooting for the team a little bit. So really,
dude. I mean, you said 2 days ago that I was going to win the Monster.
I know. I was just a little bit behind.
You stink.
I know. So I'm going to win last night's slate. No, I'm just kidding.
That's even better. That's I like that.
All right. So let's if you guys see why I'm rolling my sleeves up, by the way, it's really, really hot in LA, which we'll get into, I guess, a little bit later for baseball purposes. There is some weather today. The White Sox game, pretty bad. We're gonna have to wait. I don't think we can even make a decision this early in the morning on it. The Cubs game, really bad because they're both in Chicago, obviously. And that is one that I had some ideas about. So we're gonna have to at least just factor it in, and we can go from there. But as usual, my first thoughts are, and again, we're gonna let Sheets sort of control this thing. But just looking at it from an overall, you have the Dodgers, you have the Houston Athletics late game, and I think those games are very interesting.
I was hoping that you could reshare your screen, actually, if you would.
Oh, no, I'll share my screen.
Yeah. So one other trip report, by the way. So I went to the Yankee game last night, and they've now they have not scored in 100 days apparently.
Right. 29 straight innings.
Yep. And dude, they got freaking owned by the ghost of Kyle Hendricks. Are you kidding?
The ghost of Kyle Hendricks. I mean, like literally, if you had to put a better matchup, I don't know what it would have been. And they ended up, I believe, the most popular team on FanDuel, at least.
And he averages 6 strikeouts per 9, and he had 6 through 4 innings.
He had 11 strikeouts. I didn't even think that was possible.
I know.
And then, I mean, even Will Ward on the other side had 1 million strikeouts. It must not have been a very fun game to go to for a lot of reasons.
Torture.
Pretty ugly. But it's also the first time, and maybe that's the key, Sheets, that when you leave. So when you leave and go to a game and they win, which is most of the time they win, I always seem to do well those nights.
Okay.
When I leave, it feels like you win a lot of those nights.
Dude, what's it going to be on the 31st when you and I are both at the game?
The 31st
of July.
What's the 31st of July? Oh yeah, the game we're both going to out there. Sorry. I'm thinking of like Dodger playoff stuff. I'm like trying to figure out what you're talking about. Sorry.
Yeah,
yeah, absolutely. No, I mean maybe we both win. Maybe we both don't even look and we come home and we're winners. Anyway.
Go through the weather again because I looked for a second. It looked like there was a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, so there's some concern in Cincinnati. Roth has that orange yellow, but and then full orange. He's got both of the Chicago games: the St. Louis at Chicago White Sox and Milwaukee at the Cubs, which is a huge deal because there are things. And by the way, I mean, I guess you could speak to New York is not like totally clear, but it seems like it should be fine, right?
Yeah, New York should be fine. And just as a heads up, more into next week, it's going to be like 98 degrees, like 3 days in a row next week. I don't even know if they're home next week, but it's
yeah. And by the way, just to do a quick, again, I don't want to go over with on the sale. We'll get into the games in just a second, but like I do want to remind everybody what Sheets is doing about using his projections with the SaberSim builder has worked incredibly well, obviously, for Sheets. I've had a lot of success using a combination of Sheets and Goldie's projections for a lot of different sports, including going back to the big football win. And I really think that it's worthwhile to check this out, to check out our packages right now. And I just wanted to sort of mention that while we were talking about it, because what I did when I ran my builds this morning, I don't change because it's early in the day, Goldie won't update his things, and when Sheets updates his projections, they'll go in here and all that stuff. But Goldie had updated them already, so I just used Goldie's projections for the pitchers, and then I just ran it, and this is what it came up with. So as we go along, this is not necessarily where I'm going to end today; it's just where I'm starting. And with that said, we will start with the Yankees and Angels. Sheets. Why don't you? Is there anything that you like here? I should say.
You just remind me who's pitching, so I know who I'm.
Oh, sorry, it's Kakanevich, which is one of the worst. But so is Hendricks and Ryan Yarbrough for the Yankees.
Yeah, I don't have either of the pitchers listed, even like my top 15. I think. As far as the hitting goes, I mean, where do I have the Yankees? Like 5th or so, something like that. 5th, 6th, 5th, tied for like 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th. That whole area. So that's not that big of a deal. And who are they playing? The Angels? Who are they playing tonight?
The Angels.
Angels. Yeah, I don't have the Angels listed at all here as being relevant. So yeah, I guess the Yankees are in there, but I see the Yankees as like being highly owned.
Yeah, for sure.
So I don't know. I don't like that at all. They haven't. Listen, I know that you know me. I'm very contrarian in general, thinking about what these teams can do. But
right.
I mean, why do I want to play a team that hasn't scored in 2 games as chalk? It's like, I don't know.
An expensive team that hasn't scored in 2 games is chalk. The only thing I would say is that Kakanevich is just so bad that it might be like, okay, well, we haven't scored in. This might be like the 15-run outburst or something. So I do have the Yankees on my list, but it's a big slate. They're going to be popular, and that's the argument for fading it. Now, I'll tell you what I don't mind a little bit, though, is I don't mind a little bit of the Angels either. I actually think this Yarbrough's solid. Like, he's not spectacular. He's not, he'll occasionally have those good games. Usually it's when they use the long reliever. But I think that this is a decent enough spot for me to like at least consider them. They're super cheap, and so the Angels are on my list. So are the Yankees, but nothing that quite meets the priority tier. Although I think other people, the Yankees will be a priority. All right, we've got Lauer and Rodriguez against two offenses that are good against lefties. So this, I guess I'll start this one off then, since I said that.
Wait, so what are these teams? Yeah,
it's Arizona, Toronto.
Okay.
Rodriguez and Lauer. I think the total on this game is too low. And I think this is a spot where it's a full game stack, and I love the sub 10% ownership.
Wow.
I think this is a really, really good spot to attack early. Now, every now and then, Erod will have a game and he'll look lights out, but it's been a while, and he's had some really rough ones in there. I like this spot for both teams. It's not like a must or anything like that. I'm just saying that there's some games I like later, but this is one of the games that I have targeted today.
Yeah, I'm gonna run some sims as this is going, as this review is going, and then give you my initial outputs. Right now, just for a straight projection, I'm not getting to any of these 4 things right now.
Nor did I.
What's that?
I didn't either when I ran the projections. I just happen to personally like them.
Okay. All right. Well, that's worth something. So yeah, Toronto's a decent park. Arizona can hit. Toronto can hit. Yeah, I mean, again, if I get to them, I'm not going to be upset. How about that?
Yeah.
I'll say that.
Just answering a question here. So Dimitri's is asking how much is it for their projections? I already have SaberSim. You'd have to look. We're only slightly more than SaberSim. We also have all Sheets' projections, Goldie's projections, all of my content, everything like that, and then Rody and the whole team and everything. But we're only we're literally a tiny bit more than SaberSim. But you'd have to cancel your SaberSim membership and sign up with us. We have packages. We don't sell we don't have like add-ons to SaberSim. We're just our own thing. So just to answer that question. But we'd love to have you. And yeah, if you feel like making the change, that'd be great. All right. Ober and Lodolo in, again, one of these not so pretty games with weather-wise, the orange-yellow. And, a big slate, you'd say, okay, it'd be nice to maybe cross it off. You also have it's 80 degrees in a great hitter's park, but you've also got two good pitchers on the mound. If I still feel like a stay away later today, maybe I just X this out if it looks questionable. Because I don't feel like I quite want to commit to anything here. Now, I would love to just let it run and then get my small percentages in the lottery. And I very well may do that if the weather looks okay. But if it looks really bad later on, I just think I could make a case for all four sides of it, but I probably end up prioritizing zero of them. That's where I'm at. How about you?
Yeah, I think there's no reason to speculate into a weather situation in this game. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like it's that great anyway. I have both pitchers, in that 10th to 12th rated spot anyway. And really, like the Reds, I have them like 8th, 9th, or whatever. So if there's significant or even remotely significant weather concerns, I just assume get rid of it.
Yeah, fair enough. And I actually found the pitching, like I just found all four parts a little bit interesting. I always feel like that with Cincinnati. Well, for the hitters, I'm always interested, but like I feel like there's like a lot of upside pitchers. They have a lot of upside pitchers with a lot of massive downside, so I like to play them more than most. Lodolo being one of them, but yeah, maybe it's a stay away. Depends on the weather. We'll check on that later. New York and Atlanta, very slight showers, nothing to really be concerned about, and we have the massive chalk of Chris Sale, which I don't love doing it against the Mets. I'd like to find some other things, but I am interested in Sale, and I am confused at why the field is not interested in Atlanta. I know they haven't been incredibly awesome. They do have, Acuna back, and he's been great, but I think Atlanta is right up there with one of the premier stacks of the day. And it's 85 degrees and very humid out there. Paul Blackburn is not somebody I'm ever going to be afraid of. He has put up a combined, this is not an exaggeration, 220. Obviously, that's because I don't think he got an out in the last time he pitched. But negative 220 over his last two starts. Of course, he had a decent start against the Dodgers in the one game that I went to where the Dodgers lost. But yeah, Atlanta and Sale seem like a very natural pairing to me, and I'm very happy to see the low ownership on Atlanta.
Yeah, I mean, you're identifying so far a couple of pretty low-owned spots, Atlanta and that Toronto game. And again, aside from the cop-out that like my projection is just not getting there, I can't see any reason why I'd be afraid of Paul Blackburn with the Braves. I think again, I as usual, I think there are. I don't know if Roth has this, but is it going to be? I think the usual weather concerns in Atlanta, or not really.
It's like a little. It's like he's got it like yellow. I think it should be. Okay. Yeah. This is not as bad as it. But it's just Atlanta. You just mention it because the pop-ups it's a very weird weather system around that stadium. They usually just means delays. All right, we can move on to Baltimore and Tampa Bay.
Hold on. Before I do that, I should address Sale, right? So
yeah,
I have Sale kind of okay. I talked about this yesterday, the way I ranked the pitchers. Like yesterday, I had Warren and Wu like significantly ahead of everybody else, and then Robbie Ray, and then like a big drop to like the other 9 pitchers, whatever. Today, I'm actually I got a pretty close clumping. You know what I mean? Like, I have Sale as like the top play, but not by a lot. So if in fact, he ends up being like really chalky, you could do some stuff not necessarily playing him. So yeah, I do have him like very, very slightly like my top pitcher. But I think there are pivots. I think there are other things that you can do.
Yeah, fair enough. Sale very limited history for what it's worth against this this Mets team. The one guy he's faced a lot is Lindor, who probably hits him better than anybody in baseball. Just for what it's worth, doesn't mean anything massive on this slate. All right, Taj Bradley and Trevor Rogers at Baltimore and Tampa Bay, and we got to always remember. It's still hard to get out of my head the Tampa Bay not being in a dome. It's 85 degrees with a little bit of wind blowing out. A nice 9 total, which SaberSim has it a little bit higher. I think that, I'm just looking at this. I wanted to see the strikeout expected rate here. Let me just get over there. Sorry. Yeah, you can see Bradley with a big one. I don't know how many pitches Rogers is gonna. If they're throwing 86, I mean, okay. Well, I'm not into. I don't like the Rogers price, but if he was like 5.7, I would play him. Honestly, a little bit. Bradley, I think, is interesting, and I actually think that there's probably I see why he's getting some ownership. I feel like I could probably get to more of him than I did in my first builds, and if you're not playing, I think you can make a case for Tampa Bay. What I will warn you about is you have guys who, Curtis Mead, who may bat second. Chris Morel has been sort of occasionally platooning lately. It's been weird. So you just got guys who you're going to have potentially just a couple at bats if they get to Rogers, because the lefty righty thing is always tricky. But I mean, Tampa Bay is on my list, but they're further down than the other teams I mentioned. But I certainly am not going to fault you for playing Tampa Bay. And I do think Bradley is very reasonable.
Yeah, I have Bradley as a boy. Why do I not have a salary on him? I guess I just deleted it by mistake.
I think 7.4.
Yeah, no, yeah, it is. I just don't know why I didn't have a salary for some reason. Put this here. Let's see. Yeah, I have Bradley. 6th, something like that. 5th, 6th. I have him very similar to Ober, presuming the Ober game plays. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think it's reasonable. I will say that hitting wise, having run my first set of sims, I have Baltimore right up there with my top owned stacks. It's a neat little play, I think, because it's not like they're getting direct leverage on anybody really popular. It's not like they look that great on their own. You know what I mean? They're just kind of like a middling type of team that every once in a while can put up runs. So I don't mind having that. So for me, it's some Taj Bradley, some Baltimore. That's where I am right now.
Yeah, I can understand it. And he hasn't pitched again. It's odd that he doesn't have a bigger sample because they're in the same division, but he doesn't pitch against them a ton and hasn't pitched well when he has. But Baltimore's weird because they chase counts early, and there's two sides to all of it. You know what I mean? It's hard to get away with frozen. I think I froze.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
Oh, something happened. I can't click back on my restream screen, so I can't see anything. I'm definitely frozen on my side of it. So you can hear me, though, Sheets?
Yeah.
Huh. Okay, well, I can't touch anything on my screen because nothing works. Oh, there it goes. Okay, maybe it will start. I don't know it was fine yesterday. Like, it's just, you see my screen go black? Yeah. Okay,
yeah.
So there.
I see it. I see it. You're
right. I'll get this fixed in just a second, guys. Come on.
Yeah, I see a little frown face on your.
Yeah, it had to exit out of the page.
Okay.
It's been happening occasionally with the restream, and I don't really know why. Like, it didn't happen for years, and then all of a sudden it started happening. Okay. At least it's not during the. Well, I guess it doesn't really matter whether it's during this or golf. All right.
I have to say, I do want to address Demetrius's question here.
Oh, I answered it. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I know you answered it, but I want to answer it too. And again, in light of our conversations, I don't think you're gonna like this, what I'm gonna tell him. But if it's really like just the projections that you're gonna be subscribing for, I mean, like, I think you're missing. I think you'd be missing the point of subscribing to us. You know what I mean? Like, more than happy, to take your money, right? And if that's what you want to do, but I like to think that the TrueDFS stuff is less about just giving you another projection set and more about getting access to like the different processes and other stuff that we do. I just don't want to, I don't want someone to say, oh boy, these projections happen to have worked out, whatever. And that's why I'm subscribing. Anyway, that's
well, I did just want to throw out though, the counter to that would be that it is a way of getting different from even other sim builders, and it's literally so similar in price to SaberSim. It's barely charging more. That's the only thing.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
But I like the overall point that you're making. All right, Sonny. This is one of the weather games you have to worry about. So Sonny Gray, I'm guessing this number. We'll see if he ends up getting owned. It's really going to depend on how we feel about the weather later on today. Sonny Gray is a very viable option. I don't know what to do if the weather is weird yet. We're going to have to see exactly how weird it is later. And at the same time, I think that the Cardinals would be in play again, but probably not a priority for me. So probably mostly just Sonny Gray for me if the weather's cooperative.
That makes sense. I mean, I have Sonny Gray rated a very, tepid third or tied for 3-4. As far as my pitching goes, he'll also probably continue his streak of never doing anything for me when I play him. Nonetheless, have him looking good. You have to watch, as Bobby mentioned, for the weather here. And let me see if I'd be getting any Cardinals right now. I'd actually be getting, I guess, a little bit. I was gonna say of both these teams, but not enough to really mention it. Let me just see here. Yeah, okay, 15% Cardinals. That's something. So yeah, I think I've been kind of lockstep with you. Like some Cardinals, some Gray, presuming the weather holds.
Yep. All right, moving over to Kansas City and Texas. We've got Bubic and Corbin here. Corbin not been quite as bad this year as previous years. So again, a little bit of interest in Bubic and some interest in Texas. Actually, more than a little bit of interest in Bubic. I do think Bubic, especially if we lose Sonny Gray, makes a lot of sense as an SP2.
Did you mean to say Bubic in Texas or Bubic in Kansas City?
I meant Kansas City. Sorry about that. But Bubic in Kansas City certainly seems like it makes a lot of sense. I don't think I can talk myself into any Patrick Corbin, although, like I said, he's been just not quite bad enough this year to where the picking on him has worked the way it used to. But I still like Kansas City, and I still do like Bubic.
My first run of lineup builds when I sort of just by Saber score and not by simming and stuff. Like Kansas City showing up as the top stack, which to me means they're going to be the chalkiest stack.
Interesting, because they're not projected that way right now.
No, I know. That's why I mention it. I mean, for whatever you say, whatever we think, I mean, people still stack against Patrick Corbin, and people still play Kansas City. That's just the way it is. They're showing up at Saber scores as something that's showing up a lot, and then when I sim them, I'm not getting too much. So that's the and both those things sort of make sense. Actually, that's not true. I actually am getting to some Kansas City regardless. So I'm getting right now 18% Kansas City. More so if I did not do that ownership fade with contest sims, but they certainly look good. And yes, stacking too much again with a too popular team against Corbin can be frustrating. I mean, as I like to say, like he's got some tricks. I mean, he hasn't been in the league without being run out of the league for as long as he has, no matter how bad he looks, without having some way to get guys out, and to minimize contact when you really need it, So don't go too crazy with Kansas City, but I still have them as a decent middling option here. And Bubic I have as you mentioned as well. As one of my guys, one of my top 4. I mean, he's been great. And I don't know what Texas lineup looks like nowadays, but I think Bubic is perfectly one of the top options on the slate.
Yeah, just throughout one other advantage of playing Kansas City against Texas is Kansas City, especially Garcia and Witt, run all the time, and Corbin you can just run all over. So
Oh, is that? Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
Major stolen base upside, even against the lefty. He's terrible. All right, the other big weather game, Chicago. The wind is sort of a crosswind today. The Cubs almost got there for me yesterday. You know what? It's a little coming in more from left now than it was earlier today when I checked. So probably just this one feels like if we have any questions, I probably just click the fade button. But if it's good to go and the wind is actually across the field, although it's not coming in from left, even against I like this Mizorowski kid. I think he's going to be good, but I think the Cubs would be elite and very low owned and very hard to get in because they're expensive. But I'm very interested in the Cubs if the weather is both the lack of rain and the wind stops blowing. Well, Roth says it'll be across the field, and currently it's blowing in from left. So really depends on what happens there.
Yeah, I'm not really getting into too much of this game at all. So I'm kind of hoping. Well, to me, I'm sort of hoping it does play. Now that I think about it, so I'm not really getting into too much of this game at all. So I'll just kind of leave it at that.
Fair enough. All right, now we have the gap here, and we've got Logan Allen and Justin Verlander, and
he's still speaking of guys with tricks nowadays. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
He's still in there, Verlander, as opposed to, oh my God, did you see what happened to poor Walker Buehler?
What happened?
He got smoked.
Oh, I know he got smoked. Yeah. I actually threw that out there as it feels like one of those games when I did the live thing that Seattle just sort of goes nuts on him after they scored like nothing the night before us chalk. And of course they did. Verlander's been a little bit better for what it's worth, but not good enough to make him a high level option, I don't think. Nope. And I think this game is a big old cross off for me.
Did San Francisco get what's his name there yet?
Yep.
Okay.
Devers. I mean, you could make a case, I guess, for Logan Allen in this game, but I don't think I mean, $6K, like it's not a whole lot of cheap pitchers out there.
Yeah, for me, pass.
Just think about this Logan Allen thing. I might get a little fishy here and consider some Logan Allen. I'm going to write him in. And Verlander's only said, it's not ideal. But
hold on. Where am I getting Verlander for a second? No, I'm really not getting a Verlander much at all either.
$6K for Logan Allen. I mean, can he have you're going to be facing 3 lefties at least. He's not I don't know. I'm open to the idea of getting a little frisky with a little bit of Logan Allen in San Francisco, where it's a warm 64 though tonight. All right, for Amber Valdez, look at the Severino thing. They really took a stand because I used Goldie's projections in my first run, and I will now hedge between Goldie and Cheats before my next run.
Wait, what are you saying?
I bumped up. SaberSim has got like Severino with like 8 fantasy points. But they also had him at like 0.25% owned, which is going to be like a few percentage points owned. Here's another 6,700 play that I can get behind, though. I don't mind taking a shot on him. Again, I don't care what Houston did last night. They are not an elite offense, and they'll have good games, occasionally in especially in the stadium. But it is 96 degrees. That's the one thing that makes it a little nervous to use either of these pitchers. I also think Valdez is in play. And I think both stacks are like in play. I know it sounds ridiculous to say this for all the A's games, but it's kind of true. So I like I'll get some pieces of the Houston. I'll get some pieces of the A's. Houston will probably be the chalk again. I also will get some of Valdez and Severino.
I have Valdez rated number 2. I had Sale 1. Valdez 2, Gray 3, Bubic 4, but again, they're all really close. I don't know if it was the last time or the time before, but Valdez had a very, very fishy outing, at least starting off, and now I forget what it was. No, it was just that, he got a whole bunch of strikeouts, but but it took him a while. He only lasted 5 innings. That was the thing. Okay. against the White Sox. I think that's what it was.
Yeah, because he's been just killing it lately.
Yeah. The 9 innings. He had a complete game shutout. Oh my God!
Yeah.
Look at
In
that.
80, you know how many pitches he threw? He threw 83 pitches.
Oh my God! Look at that.
Complete game shutout with 83 pitches.
Yeah. So I guess that must have broken his last game. Is what seems to be a never-ending. Well, that's so funny. The only times he can't get a quality start against the White Sox, like this time last game, and the last time he played against the White Sox, he had 9 fantasy points. That's crazy.
That is crazy.
So now he's got Oakland. I mean, listen, tough park, but Valdez is so good. You know, I wouldn't worry too much about it. So I do like him. I'm not getting to the hitting here.
Okay.
I do think though that given the choice, I mean, I think I would rather have the Athletics than the Astros just for leverage and ownership. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't think I need to play the Astros coming off 13 runs, and I don't even have them projected all that great anyway. So whatever.
Yeah, and you know they are going to be, I think, the most popular team again. I think the Astros and Yankees will be the most popular potentially. I don't know. I'm still having a hard time getting a sense for that one. All right, we go back to LA. We've got the bad pitchers again. It's really this Dodgers San Diego series. I've not seen the best of the pitching, so. Sign me up for the Dodgers as my favorite stack, along with, well, some of the early ones I like is a little more contrarian, but I do like the Dodgers, and I do not have any interest in the pitching. I think the Padres are a good sneaky stack here. This is a pretty ugly lineup outside the top 4. Actually, outside the top 3, really, for the Padres. But Trenton Brooks hit a home run last night. He's 2K. He pinch hit a home run. He's you know, there's a little bit of hype that I've heard from Padre people. I don't know what the hell that means though. They're the strangest fan base. Cronenworth is super cheap because he's been terrible. Bogart's is super cheap because he's been terrible. It's really easy to build a really cheap Padre stack, and it's not a bad spot. And it's getting warmer in LA, 78 degrees tonight at 10:10 Eastern. 8-mile-an-hour winds blowing out, so I'm in on a full game stack here as far as this one goes.
Yeah, that's where I am. I'm currently at 50% Padres actually.
Ooh, let's go.
Yeah,
fight it out again. We had all the crossover players last night. I just didn't get the right mix that you.
Yeah, I'm currently at 50% San Diego, and then 11% Dodgers, going right back to the Welski. You know, with what did it for me yesterday, and
why not?
Well, I didn't Padres yesterday, but listen, go right back to that late night hammer. Root for all kinds of rain in the other games, I guess, and certainly not hard to root against the Yankees right now. They can't do anything, and I don't mind fading the Astros, honestly. I mean, like you said, I mean, I still think that teams like the Yankees and these are the two teams that just still get played every day. Anyway, so in my current runs, I'm getting right now, again, it's different. 50% Padres, and the next 2 are Baltimore and the Angels, who you mentioned a little bit. But the weather is going to be a really important thing to keep an eye on. Pitchers, I'm currently getting, and this has been, listen, it's almost been like old school, just basically the top pitchers I'm getting the most of, you know, getting Valdez and Sale, my 2 top, then Bradley, Ober, Bubic. Oh, and there it is. I didn't even realize I was getting to this. 12% Severino. Oh, goodness. Yeah, I mean, why not? Why not?
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I think we're on the same page. So for me, just to round it out, pretty strongly Sale, Bubic, Valdez, Bradley as my 4 pitchers, and then Severino, Allen as my thin pitchers. The spend downs that I'm not so sure about. Dodgers, Padres, Kansas City. I almost said Chiefs. Atlanta, Arizona, Toronto, and possibly Houston in that order for my stacks.
Football's coming.
It's coming, man. That's when I got to come back. So I'm going to be I'll hopefully be well rejuvenated for football season by the time I get back from my trip.
Yep.
Anything else you want to add before we get out of here? And then we're going to come back with some golf shortly, guys.
Yep. No. To answer your question, nope, nothing to add.
Okay.
And yep, I'm ready to come back with golf. You want to be pure and make it a one, or you want to come right back now? Whatever you want to do.
I'm ready to do it right now. If you want to, I'll just set it up.
Okay,
really quick.
let's do it.
Like let's say 5 minutes.
5 minutes is perfect.
All right.